The Chicago Bears stick with Matt Eberflus, but move on from offensive coordinator Luke Getsy. What does it mean for the future of the Chicago Bears and Justin Fields? Here to help us break it all down is the one, the only Lauren Cox, host of the Locked On Bears podcast, your daily podcast. Keep you up to date with everything going on with the Chicago Bears. And I'm Ross Jackson, NFL expert here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Luke, you're going to have a busy week over at Locked On Bears, and it all starts with Matt Eberflus, the Chicago Bears head coach, being retained for the 2024 season. What's the temperature around this decision? Because it feels slightly controversial.
Yeah, definitely some people getting the pitchforks and torches ready. The boycott talk is already swirling on Twitter. I mean, ultimately, the outrage is minimized only because this was kind of expected. We've heard reports leading up to this week that, Eberflus was expected to return, but Bears were having conversations. And I think the fan base as a whole is used to the organization making these kinds of decisions of saying, you know what, we don't want to rock the boat too much. We don't want to become an organization that's constantly firing and turning over head coaches after 2 seasons and not giving guys time to really fully realize their vision and then, letting them fully succeed or fail along that process before making the change. And so it has been a patient organization, and yet fan base is still mad because they hope and want and expect for better and want the team to aim higher. But ultimately they're saying, you know what, Eberflus made some progress this season and they want to see where it goes from here.
So they maintain Matt Eberflus, but they still make a big move moving on from offensive coordinator Luke Getsy. What did it take to get to that decision to move on from the OC?
It feels like how you justify bringing the head coach back. All right, you look at this
right
at 7-10. That certainly is an improvement in terms of the win record, but this season they were 1-7 against teams that finished with a winning record. Right? They were not a good team, that they made progress in some ways, and largely Matt Eberflus's defense was the source of a lot of that progress. Played really, really well over the final 8 or so games down the stretch, and yet the offense continued to struggle to get points on the board consistently and really, maximize the talent of Justin Fields and DJ Moore and Cole Kmet, et cetera. And so this is Matt Eberflus's way and the front office's way of saying, listen, your defense is very good and we like you, so let's fire the offensive coordinator, get someone new in here to try and boost that side of the ball and hope that your defensive progress can sustain, and then a better offensive presence can ultimately lift this team up with whoever the next quarterback is going to be.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going next. So we're talking about this, potential continued investment over on the offensive side of the football, trying to bolster that. Do you think that includes Justin Fields, or with that number 1 overall pick, are we looking at a potential rookie quarterback in Chicago?
I think it doesn't have to be an either or question. It would be difficult, but it doesn't have to be either or. You could draft a quarterback and keep Justin Fields. I do think ultimately the trend is going to be towards moving on from Fields in one way or another and then drafting a quarterback, because I think that's partially how you sell another offensive coordinator on this gig. And I know we might get into that a little bit, but like the number 1 overall pick is a chance for whoever the next offensive coordinator is to really shape that quarterback and have their guy. And plus, I think having the number 1 overall pick as a quarterback can extend the job security for Matt Eberflus and also for Ryan Poles as the general manager. If you're hitching your wagon to this coach who it feels like is still going to be on the hot seat and still has a lot to prove this season, if you can get through 2024 and say, oh, well, we had a rookie quarterback, and so that's why, we need more time. We need to be more patient. Let's not rush to anything here. Let's see this through with the rookie quarterback. All of a sudden, like job security and that sort of the politics side of things can start to matter even a little bit more than just like purely what's in the best interest of the football team, which might still be the rookie quarterback. But it seems to me like trying to bring in Justin Fields' 3rd offensive coordinator in 4 seasons as he's coming up on the final year of his current rookie deal. They got a 5th-year option still ahead of him. Like to me, that signals quarterback change along with offensive coordinator change.
So is the number 1 overall selection enough to sell for a top offensive coordinator, or does the retention of Matt Eberflus kind of murky the waters a little bit in terms of selling the vision of the Chicago Bears to a top offensive coordinator?
If I were, the young, upcoming, say, quarterbacks coach or passing game coordinator who's never been an offensive coordinator before, I would think I'm holding out for the offensive coordinator job that I think is best for me and my long-term future. And if I'm that guy and pick a name, the one that jumps to mind is Zac Robinson, the QB coach for the Rams, who's kind of
exactly who I was thinking about.
If I'm him, I don't look at that Bears job and think that's the one I got to go take, right? Because potentially lame duck head coach, potentially lame duck quarterback, or maybe the number one overall pick. But even if the number one overall pick is the quarterback you like, do you have that job security? Like, to me, it's an opportunity. Like, there's only 32 offensive coordinator jobs, so somebody will want it, and it's not going to be like you're scraping the bottom of the barrel for anybody who will sign up for the job. But I think the very top of the top candidates have the kind of leverage to say, no, I'll wait for a better gig.
Yeah. If not in Chicago, as we wrap up here, thinking about Justin Fields, if not in Chicago, where do you think would be a nice fit for him in 2024 that might actually give him an opportunity to continue to develop?
Everyone always jumps on the Atlanta Falcons because he's from that area and has said before he grew up being a Michael Vick fan and has a lot of connections there with and then Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson would be a lot of fun. Like, that's the fun one that we can going to. And they're a team that's picking far enough from the top 10. I think they're at 8th. Like, they're far enough from the top, 3 quarterback options that maybe that could be enticing for them. But I look at a team like Pittsburgh as a possibility. I think he and with Mike Tomlin would be a lot of fun. And I think, as they kind of have a track record now of former Bears first-round pick quarterbacks with Mitch Trubisky. If you want to kind of have a competition option instead of just purely trying to draft a replacement for Pickett, but bring in a more veteran quote-unquote guy, that one makes a lot of sense to me. And people have thrown out the New York Jets as a potential spot to be like the heir apparent to Aaron Rodgers, but I think financially there's some trouble there, and I'm not sure that one ends up lining a huge path. But to me, it's like the Bears are going to have open sweepstakes for the number one overall pick, potentially, if they want to trade down. And if they decide not to trade down, they can call those same teams looking for a quarterback and say, hey, here's Justin Fields. If we're not giving you number one, do you want this quarterback option instead? It's going to be the same conversations with a lot of the same GMs.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's going to be a really, really busy offseason for the Chicago Bears, to say the least. And the best way to keep up with it is every single Monday through Friday over with Locked On Bears and Lauren Cox here covering your Chicago Bears. Thanks so much, Lauren, for taking the time with us, man.
Hey, anytime. Thanks.